So, guys, today I have a few minutes with an absolute legend. This is Barbara Blake Hannah, and Barbara was the first black news presenter in the UK. We're in sunny Kingston, Jamaica, because you eventually moved back to Jamaica after only a few years. Barbara, first of all, tell me a little bit about what brought you to the UK and how you got a job, yeah, as the first black person to work on TV in England. It's a huge thing.
And blessed love, blessed love, perfect love. I didn't move back to Jamaica, I moved forward to Jamaica after living 8 years in the racism of Britain. I went there because I had a small part in a movie that was made in Jamaica called I Wind in Jamaica. And I was given a chance to go to England to be an extra in the post-production at Pinewood Studios. Everyone was migrating or who could, and I was one of the migrants at the time, 1964. And it seemed like a very good idea. I had been a journalist in Jamaica, but I also had secretarial skills and I had to use those to earn a living, which I did for about 4 years, no, about 3 years, till I got a job as the PR for the Jamaican government. And in that capacity, I got a chance to write some articles in British newspapers on Jamaica, but then I got hired to write articles about other things and heard that they were starting a new TV station. I applied for a job as a journalist with the station. They asked me to come for an audition. I auditioned and they called me and said, we would like you to be an on-camera presenter. It was the Today Show with Eamon Andrews, a daily TV show, magazine program broadcast for the London area. And that was really nice. I did that. I did a lot of very interesting interviews. I remember being at the Beatles Apple store on the day that they closed it down and gave away everything inside. That was a huge
What a
riot.
story.
Yes, it was. I managed to get something too.
Yeah.
I interviewed Sir Francis Chichester when he'd sailed out around the world. Stories like that. I remember interviewing Bianca Jagger. She was then girlfriend with Michael Caine. They both came to the studio to talk about a charity. She's continued in her charitable works, and we're still in touch. I'm glad to say I admire her greatly. But after 9 months, when my contract came to be renewed, the producers said they wouldn't renew it because they'd received so many late letters from racists saying, remove my black face from their screens. And they decided to obey the racists and do as they requested. So my contract wasn't renewed. I got another job doing a similar thing in Birmingham, but after 6 months, again, my contract wasn't renewed for the same racist reasons. So my third TV job was with BBC TV as an associate producer on the Man Alive TV show, excellent program. Did quite a few programs, nicest of which was going to the Cannes Film Festival, doing a program cooperating with Time Live. When I came back to London, Chris Blackwell and Perry Hensley invited me to be the PR for a new film that had just been made, Jamaica's first feature film, The Harder They Come. And that was really nice because not only did I get a free trip to Jamaica for the premiere, but the movie showed me for the first time my own culture, my Jamaican Rastafari reggae culture that I didn't know about. You know, I've been brought up as this sort of pseudo-English Jamaican upper-class girl, speaking perfect English, knowing the whole history of England's kings and the Middle Ages, knowing nothing about my blackness except that I'd been enslaved or my ancestors had been enslaved. And what the Rastafari culture that I saw for the first time depicted in this film made me realize how I could see myself as black as being beautiful. Black is Beautiful was happening all over the world at the time. Angela Davis, the whole Black Panther movement had sort of lit a spark in me. And I came back home to find out more about my black self. I learned about Marcus Garvey for the first time, and I learned about Rastafari. as a religion, as a black Christian religion.
That first seed where you felt you need to go forwards, as you describe it, to Jamaica, that was were you fearful at that point? I mean,
No, no, I was eager, eager. You know, I love to travel. I love to see the world. I love new things. And here was something so brand new. You know, like I said, 1960s had been the Black is Beautiful era for the world. It was also the hippie movement. The Beatles had gone to India to be with the Maharishi. They brought that culture back. And in America, the white kids were fighting against the Vietnam War. They were saying, make love, not war. So all those three things melded together with a knowledge, with a desire to know more about this new world. It was a new way of thinking. And in Rastafari, I, as a black woman, got a chance to really be part of a new development of that movement, which is Rasta, you know, which has become an international movement now, an international culture. At the time, it was only the messages that were being shared with the reggae, by the reggae musicians, with reggae music. Bob Marley being the greatest advocate of that movement. So I became a part of that. Within a day of coming back to Jamaica, I met this young man named Bob Marley, who had just been signed a contract by Chris Backwell, one of the producers of the film. He asked me to show some journalists around. He said, I've just signed a new group, go up to 56 Hope Road, and he's around there. And I went up there and met Bob Marley.
well,
He became my friend till he died. He was my friend. I remember. So proud that he was my friend, you
I
know?
mean, that's incredible. I mean, what I take from what you said was, despite the horrific racism you suffered in England, which directly was put, you know, people suffer racism in England to today, but a lot of it is described as unconscious bias, or ways that people, you know, it's a bit more subtle, people say. With you had explicit racism, but rather than letting that bring you down, you've used that to propel yourself forward. You came back to Jamaica, and you've been honoured by parliaments. What would you say to young people today that are experiencing racism, that feel in a place where they may be trapped, depressed, unhappy? What do you say to young black children, young black people in those kind of situations?
You know, I would say to them, find your way home. Find your black space in the world. There is so little black space in a white racist society. You're constantly fighting a wall that doesn't want to ever let you in. You're always looking behind your back, looking over your shoulder to see where is the next blow going to come from. Here in Jamaica, I live free. I live among so many different races of people. There is no racism whatsoever. There's no hatred. There will be envy of people who are wealthier than I am, or by people who are not. There'll be envy by people who don't have jobs or don't have somewhere good to live. But there is no racism. Racism where, because of the color of my skin, I'm going to meet frowns. I'm going to meet people who don't want to serve me. I'm going to meet people who are fighting against me. And it's something that's happening every day of my life. I I would say get away from that. The rest of the world is here. There is more of a world. There's the whole of Africa. They, they can find places in Africa they would be happy to live and help build Africa. Africa is the wealth of the world. Britain doesn't have anything except coal, and you stop mining that now, I think. The rest of the world, Africa has so much. The gold of Jamaica is its tourism, its beauty. There is so much that you can do that will give you a happier life than trying to stay in a country where you are not just the lowest citizen, but you are hated. You are hated. Why would you want to live amongst hate? Come find another world. Find a place for yourself in Jamaica. That's what I would say. That's what I did. Because I didn't have anything. When I came back to Jamaica, people said, "What? You left England? How come you don't come back rich?" Well, since you're not rich, and I had to live with that. I had to be right back at the beginning again. I had to go down to the Gleaner and ask them if they would take my freelance articles and write them for little or no money. I had to live in a humble, simple place. But one step by one step, I built myself up to where I now proudly wear the Order of the Officer of Distinction, meaning that I did something good and Jamaica is proud of me. From nothing to the Order of Distinction, you can do it. You can do it.
Well, Barbara, it's amazing, powerful words as ever. I want to thank you, commend you for what you've achieved, for being a complete role model for all citizens of the world, not just black and brown people. And I want to thank you for your time, sharing a few minutes with me. It's an
I
absolute
bless you. I
pleasure.
thank you so much for asking me to do this.
Oh, no.
Bless you. Bless you.
I
Love
feel
you.
privileged just to share the space. Thank you.
Love you.
Thank you.